Nawarro chinambo punk tu chinan chaval aqui chinamo kikirani tsai chaval kirani tsai ma kikirani
like a flower or tree. I'll throw my head back and sing, I sing, I sing, I sing, I sing. L'Uaiti est à
Antuma chaya no na no kamarua nuri no kamai no kawaka na nuri no yuyua na warro chinambo punk tu chinan chaval aqui chinamo kikirani tsai chaval kirani tsai ma kikirani 나와 신나는 뻔게 또 신나 샤바와키 신나무 기그라니 짱 샤바기라니 짱이무 기그라니
Mandatory fat camp for all of them. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Radowski here of the bestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours, discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As, of course, there are so many different things to talk about as the legal battles have begun for Donald Trump, as there's already some very interesting negotiations between Mexico and Canada, as the conversation is getting pretty epic. Arrest demands are being met, as CNN is also being called out in real time by other CNN anchors. What's really going on here? As Walmart just got rid of their DEI incentives, while Rudy Giuliani is having a lot of his money taken away. Is it the right move to make here? As there's also a peace deal with Lebanon. What's really going on here? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be discussing for the next 2 hours on this independent media broadcast. We thank you guys for sharing this broadcast, and because you guys share it and get it out there to the general public, we work very hard for you, and we make sure we have the most incredible guests here in studio for you. To return the favor for you guys getting this broadcast out there to everyone, we make you a part of the show. You could do that just by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. You could do that for less than 20 cents a day. Click the link right now in the description. Click right here, and you could be today's caller. You don't get to be told what to say and not to say. You could ask us whatever you want. Gary, our guest, might even give you a personalized reading. Maybe. We'll see. As, of course, you really get a good opportunity to show yourself and to be a part of the show all through LukeUnfiltered.com. First-time callers also get free products on wearechange.shop. We are going to be launching a really great product in less than 24 hours that we are pre-selling right now. And we're going to be doing our best to read any and all Super Chats, but we prefer you guys use the Streamlabs Super Chat link down in the description, which only does a 3% service charge and not a 30% service charge. Also, don't forget to check out the limited edition products available on SaveLukeNow.com, which supports my legal defense fund and getting a lawyer to make sure that I don't go to jail. So check that out, and we greatly appreciate all of your support from the bottom of our heart. And it allows us to have guests like Gary, the numbers guy, who is an awesome human being, someone that we have been in touch with here locally in Miami. We've hung out a number of times. And Gary, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always great to have you here. Last time you were here, it was during the election. We had an epic broadcast here, and you really did kind of boil down and break down some important information. So I'm very excited to see the information that you're going to be bringing forward today. For the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
Oh, if you don't know me, who the hell are you? You know what I'm saying? What the hell is going on? But in all honesty, listen, last time I was here, Donald Trump won his third election. I want to repeat that. He won his third election. But, a little bit, today I think we need to talk about a little bit more of his cabinet picks. We have a, pretty big female panel here. And it looks like Donald Trump decided to do the same thing. Not sure if that's a good thing, but we'll definitely find out.
It's a great thing. Women are fantastic.
You say so.
Well, this one specifically that we're going to be, this is going to be a fiery conversation already, especially with Martha here. And the shows that we have planned are going to be very epic. We are working on getting Destiny here, who said he will be here on this show. We're working on having other kind of leftists so we could actually have a civil kind of debate and conversation. And we really have a lot of great things planned for you. Martha's a big part of it as well. Martha is very excited about the future debates that we're going to be having here. She can't wait to talk to a lot of individuals, like Fresh and Fresh of Fresh and Fit, Fit of Fresh and Fit, and a lot of other liberals that are going to be coming here in studio and joining us for the conversation. Right, Martha?
I love it, Luke. You know that is my love language. I do love to speak to people that we might not necessarily agree, but I do love to debate. And I do a lot of debating on X anyway, so might as well do it here, right?
Yep. Where do you debate?
On X, you can find me at Bueno from Miami. I'm also on IG as Bueno for Miami.
Yeah, Liza Trainer is also here. Who are you?
Liza Trainer.
There you go.
Wow, straight to the point. Straight to the point.
I don't want to, scare anybody. I don't know. Why do we have to do this?
Because everybody wants to know who you are, Liza.
course.
So I will do it for Liza because apparently she has a problem with it. See this gorgeous set behind me? This was all of Liza's work. Of course, Luke and Steph both put in some sweat equity here, but the vast majority of everything in this room is all thanks to Liza. So thank you, Liza, for not only making the studio beautiful, but for being here today.
Yep.
Yahoo.
We met Liza through one of our meetups that we do for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. She kind of came out. She was a little annoying, and then we were like, okay,
Let's put her on the show.
Put her on the show.
She's got stuff to say.
What are you going to do a meetup in Fort Lauderdale and not Miami? How many people
Never.
want Luke to have a meetup a
No.
lot further north?
That's Patrick Bet-David
instead of
territory.
South Beach.
Yeah. This is Miami. We kind of.
That's hairy Armenian territory. All right, they can have it. But we might do something in Orlando or maybe even Jacksonville. So there's going to be a lot of different meetups that you guys could come out, get to know us, and Steph will be at every last one of them, right, Steph?
Oh, yeah.
And not in South Beach.
I haven't missed one.
What's wrong with South Beach?
Ugh. Who wants to park there?
I mean, that's why you get, Ubers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You wanna
South
take-
Beach one is cool. What's wrong with the South Beach one?
I don't want to take an Uber, and I don't want to try and park there. I like Fort Lauderdale. You get out of the car, and that's it.
Well, a lot of our members go from far to come to our meetups, and Atlas is there too, and it's really fun and exciting. So,
What
hi,
do you mean
everyone.
you've missed? You haven't missed them. I haven't seen you at a meetup in a while.
Maybe you haven't been to them because I've been to every single one.
no, you
Ooh,
haven't.
shots fired.
Okay. Anyways, we'll talk off this after the show.
There's no way. I've been to every single one.
That one where
I
we
have to
went-
fight. I have to fight Steph to come out, though. To be completely fair, Steph's like, "I'm not coming." I'm like, "Steph, they want to meet you. They want to get to know you." There's people that literally drove down from Ohio just to be a part of these
That's
little
where I'm
meetups.
from.
So yeah, so people drove down all day and were sleeping in their car just to come out. And I'm like,
That's a
Steph,
long ride.
if people are coming out all the way from Ohio just to come meet everyone, including Atlas, you got to come out. And then Steph's like, "Okay, I guess I'll come."
Yeah,
she
and then
does.
I really love it, and then it's really fun, and it's so nice to see everybody, and it's just really great conversations, and that's how we got some of our guests on. That's how Liza's here. So it's really awesome. It's great to build community. I think that's super important. That's one of the things that we believe at We Are Change, and yeah, please come. We want to see you. We want to meet you. This is Steph We Are Change on Instagram, Steph WRC on X, ready to push the buttons.
Yeah, we're going to be doing new meetups soon, so sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com and come out. It's a great way to meet people, great way to network, a great way to get to know other individuals, and to, more importantly, know that you're not alone, especially when it comes to the larger kind of discontent towards society, and also, more importantly, towards building larger solutions to the problems that all of us are facing. Really great, innovative, smart, intelligent people come out, and it's really awesome to see a lot of the faces that allow us to be here for you. So again, I can't thank you guys enough for all of that. So let's just get into it. As of course, there's a lot of very serious conversations happening right now around tariffs, as China, Canada, and Mexico are hitting back against Trump's proposed plans of issuing tariffs against the goods that they want to bring in here, as some people are warning that there's going to be allegedly negative impacts to the U.S. economy, as Donald Trump is saying that he will sign executive orders imposing a 25% tariff on products coming into the United States from Mexico and Canada, with additional tariffs for China. Now, personally, I really don't like any kind of regulations, taxes, or kind of government overreach, but Donald Trump is also talking about, at the same time, getting rid of the income tax and allowing American manufacturing and allowing American businesses to essentially run kind of tax-free when it comes to the larger products and goods and services that they will be providing for the American people. And if we're going to be trading those, I think it's a pretty good deal. There's also a lot of leveraging being met here.
Like that.
Yep.
Like that, I would do that in a heartbeat. man.
Absolutely.
In a heartbeat. Listen, you take the income tax away, you're going to see this country flourish like you've never seen it before.
Absolutely.
Because what are people going to do with that money? Just sit on it? No, they're going to invest in the economy. They're going to build new infrastructure. They're going to open new companies, new factories. This is what people do, especially when they have money.
Yep.
Okay? No one has ever had a boss who was broker than them. I want you guys to understand that. You need people who have millions, and God forbid I say billions, who can actually invest in the economy. I've been saying this for a while. I don't think billionaires should pay any taxes. I want to say that again. Billionaires should pay no taxes under one circumstance. They invest half their money into the economy.
I
That
don't think
will-
anybody should be paying taxes. Does that count?
Oh,
I don't
mean,
care.
I don't
what
want to
they-
be an anarchist. You know?
It's like a
I mean,
punishment.
I
I
don't
don't
want to
want-
be an anarchist.
Why
I'd
would you-
rather be an anarchist. No one pay taxes.
Yeah,
for
no,
me
we
we can
personally.
have that. We
Yeah.
can have that.
Of course we can.
No, we can't. How
Sure
you
we
have?
can.
What about the roads? All this
Oh,
other stuff.
as if the roads weren't there before the fact that we had taxation.
They still, I
taxes-
mean, there's a lot of people in the
We
government
had
payroll.
tariffs before. We didn't have taxes.
Okay, are we going back to the tariffs on everything? On
I don't-
absolutely everything?
Maybe.
No, I'm not sure.
We'll see how it plays
I
out.
don't
You know
think
what?
that's possible.
I don't think that they should have a blank check. Why should they be able to just pull out of your paycheck whatever they want?
I
Well,
think-
I'm not sure about blank check, but I do think there's stuff that happens like, hurricanes, earthquakes, all sorts of stuff the government needs money for. Listen, I don't like the
Ask
government
North
any more
Carolina
than you.
how it's going for
That's
them.
because we have the Biden and Harris administration under a real
you still have to
government.
pay taxes to
under
the
a
Biden
real
Harris
Correct.
administration.
But under a real government, those taxes will be used better. I don't think it's. I'm
God.
being dead serious.
Oh
I'm being
no!
dead
If we
serious.
get the right guy into office, then
100%.
somehow they'll just use your money
Isn't
magically.
Trump that right guy?
I think he's the right guy
Okay.
for right now, but I don't think he's going to end this problem. That he's not going to cut our taxes from 40+% to like what 10? No, come on.
I want to say if the government want to take, if they want to have a government project, they should do a GoFundMe. I think that's how they should
I
operate.
100%
And I think
agree.
the private businesses and private enterprises
And they should
will-
have webcams in their
Exactly.
offices.
and,
I think
and drug tests.
if we had-
Yes.
Mandatory drug tests on all politicians, and I think we should pay politicians a little bit more. That's my controversial
$1 million
take on
bucks.
it.
That's what they
Yeah.
do in Singapore.
Exactly.
Everyone gets $1 million bucks, and if you're caught stealing, you're going to jail
They,
for
they
a
chop
long
your hand
time.
off. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
When I was in Singapore, I was a smoker at the time. I was like petrified because you drop a cigarette butt somewhere, and it's not just a major fine, but it's like a serious freaking deal. There was at the time that I was in Singapore, there was specifically an American tourist that came in there and did some graffiti. They
Oh.
literally on national television whooped his butt. Literally.
Caned him. Public caning.
Could you
So-
imagine we did that here?
Oh, like
I
in
mean,
Bouvier
it'd be
Park. We should do
cleaner.
That would be awesome.
But,
But-
the idea of GoFundMe, I think, is like brilliant. This is exactly what I've been saying for a long time. I think that if
GoFundMe takes 10% too.
Okay, well, I don't mean the specific platform.
out there.
I mean the fact that if government had to come to us and say, "Hey, I have this project, fund me," and then we have the ability to, like, if they were like, "Hey, how about this war in Ukraine?" It's like, "Fund me." No, thanks, I'm good.
yeah,
That's an excellent idea.
Yep, direct democracy. The liberals love democracy, right? We could
Mob rule.
Yeah,
Mob rule, I'm not sure about that one.
That's true. There are criticisms against that, but overall, I think voting with your dollar is incredibly important. And if we're kind of incentivized to buy American goods and to produce American goods and not have to pay taxes on that, that is incredible. That is going to free the economy and create larger kind of incentives and a larger kind of entrepreneurial spirit that could really help save America and turn the corner, especially when it comes to a lot of the debt that we're in right now.
Can you look up someone how much America makes in income tax every year?
How much the country
Yeah.
makes?
But there's
How much does it
different
take in?
income tax. Florida,
All of it.
Florida
all
is
together.
exempt.
Just with the federal government, not state. State is different. Obviously, if you live in California, you're just definitely holding your ankles, but
I
it
was
is what
just
it
gonna
is.
say, pull your pants down and take a deep breath.
That's what the Gavin Newsom does.
Someone will have to look up those numbers specifically.
yeah,
Martha,
I'm just
are you on
curious,
it?
since we're
I'm
talking
on
about
it.
it, we
Yeah.
should know it.
It's very close, I think, to almost the percentage of the interest of
For-
the national defense.
Total revenue for 2025 will be 5.49 trillion for the fiscal year of 2025.
So we're talking about 20% of our economy?
I think so.
Yeah, we could definitely bring that down.
We can bring it
Definitely-
down
We could
a lot.
definitely bring that down.
We could cut that
Yeah.
so hard.
Yes. Cutting sounds great, and it sounds very exciting. Steph, what are you doing? Of course, the Wall Street Journal is reporting on this in a very kind of peculiar way, as they just announced that Trump fires salvo at North American trade pact. And a lot of the media is covering this in a very negative way. Bill Ackman actually kind of clarified what's really kind of happening here, as he says, to be clear, according to Trump's 25% tariff plan will not be implemented, or if it is implemented, will be removed once Mexico and Canada stop the flow of illegal immigrants and fentanyl into the United States. In other words, Donald Trump is going to use tariffs as a weapon to achieve economic and political outcomes which are the best interest of America, fulfilling his America First policy. This is a great way for Trump to effect foreign policy change even before he takes office, as he specifically retweets Donald Trump on Truth Social, explaining his larger situation and how it will work to leverage Mexico and Canada not to send in their worst products and people into the United States. I don't know about you, but that seems like a good negotiation strategy. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't think you press Mexico and Canada the same ways, though.
Why not?
I think we have a much closer relationship with Canada than we do with Mexico, in all honesty. Our militaries, I mean, we honestly are protecting, Canada. The U.S. military basically protects Canada, we don't protect Mexico. It's a little different.
So seems like that's a problem. And Canada can either pay us to protect them or
I have no issues
step
with
it
that.
up.
I have no issues with them paying to protect us, especially with Justin Trudeau. Get that piece of garbage out of there first, who might be worse than Biden. I'm not kidding about that.
I mean, he might be Fidel
Look up the
Castro's son.
Trudeau-
No,
so-
he is Fidel Castro's son. Pull out the pictures. People could see that shit themselves. Listen, Margaret Trudeau, who was married to
Pierre Trudeau.
She went to Havana 15 times a year. I mean, listen, I don't like to say this word around a whole bunch of women here, but I mean, she's a whore.
Well, they were swingers.
It is
this
what it is.
is one of the things that has come out about her and Trudeau is that they were swingers. And just today, PBD's podcast put out a woman. I just forgot her name.
Saw it.
Yeah,
saw it.
who claimed to have been sex trafficked potentially to
Trudeau's father.
Father, yeah, to Pierre
Shocking.
Trudeau.
Now, if you want another juicy piece of information, look up if you can still find it anywhere. If somebody can find it, good luck. Trudeau's actual logo for his foundation, his original
God.
one. You know what it is?
Wait, Pierre or
Good.
Justin's?
It's Justin's. Look up what it was.
I
Y'all are
already
gonna have me
know.
do.
You know what it is.
What is it?
Some pedo stuff.
Oh, I didn't say it. He did.
As the bastard child spoke today, as Justin Trudeau recently made these comments, specifically with the larger conversations that he just had with Donald Trump, which I think are also very interesting.
Bonjour tout le monde. I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again.
Oh, I bet.
We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how
Jail
the
for you.
intense and effective
That's the
connections
one.
between our two countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do. One of the really important things is that we be all pulling together on this. The Team Canada approach is what works. That's where, putting aside partisanship, that's where I reached out immediately to Doug Ford to agree with him that we would have a First Ministers meeting this week to talk about the United States. Talked with François Legault and some other premiers as well. There's work to do, but we know how to do it.
Yeah,
He'll
very
be out of
interesting.
there real soon. He won't be around for
A very
much longer.
interesting shift of
Has he
tone
been to
from
the
Trudeau.
island?
As
many
of course,
times?
this is the photo that Liza specifically brought up. That very weird logo that is associated with a lot of weird people that do
Looks kind of
weird
like a piece
stuff
of pizza.
to small
And
children.
like a paper clip
Yeah.
shaped in a weird shape.
Yeah.
I wonder where that
Funny
came
how
from.
that guy that debunked all that is doing time now for playing with toddlers. Oops.
Okay. As Trudeau also recently changed his kind of tone about immigration, as he has announced that there's not going to be any kind of new immigration to Canada as well. So there's a lot of big changes being made. A lot of people are saying that this is directly because of the, quote, Trump effect here. But a lot of people are now kind of saying, hey, this is kind of significant here that the Canadian government is announcing no new kind of immigration. They're talking about cooperating with Donald Trump, working with Donald Trump. And it definitely does seem like there's a big kind of shift in international geopolitical relations in North America.
It shows you who's top dog.
Yeah.
When America is top dog and we have legitimate, good leadership at the top, everyone falls in line.
management.
When you have morons who don't know what day it is, then the world does whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they start wars, they invade different countries. But when you have a real president, you see what happens. He's not even in the Oval Office, and look how everyone's falling in line. Says everything you need to know about Donald Trump.
Absolutely. As we also have news of alleged caravans being stopped in Mexico already, preemptively, before Donald Trump even takes political office. As Reuters today is also reporting how the Mexican president is warning that the Trump tariffs will kill jobs. And she is hinting at potentially retaliating with her own kind of tariffs against the United States, which would set off a very kind of interesting political situation, as there were a lot of globalists that always wanted this larger North American Union, wanted these kind of free trade zones, and wanted to merge Canada, Mexico, and the United States together. I remember I confronted the president of Mexico at the time about this very important situation, and he kind of spit it out saying, yeah, it's a larger plan, it's a larger vision. We're going to have cheap work in Mexico, we're going to have great consumer goods there, and it's a larger kind of globalist plan and agenda that has been implemented slowly and surely with NAFTA for a very long time now, all the way since the 1990s. And they do it through, of course, creating a lot of these bigger policies that work out for the benefit of these internationalists that don't have any kind of loyalty to any country. They just want to scalp and take everything for themselves. As it's fair to say that Mexico has been screwed over during these larger deals. The American worker has been screwed over during these larger deals. And now it definitely does look like we are reversing back away a lot of those kind of NAFTA globalist policies and implementing new policies that will reshape North America. And I think, are prioritizing America for the first time in a long time and its people, something that we haven't seen in quite a while, which is impressive.
Why do we even care what Mexico thinks?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we even care? They ship the fentanyl here through the cartels. They're killing our kids. Why do we care what these people think? Go in there with Delta Force, take these cartels out. And here's another thing, Mrs. Mexico President, here's what's going to happen. You keep talking, Donald Trump is going to start taxing the money that's being sent back from this country to your country through Western Union, through MoneyGram. How about a 10-15% tax until you shut the hell up? How about that? We can shut them up quick.
Hot take, we can also legalize drugs, and then they wouldn't be coming through the southern border.
No, we're not legalizing drugs.
I know, because the easiest
Next
solution...
thing you know, they'll be pooping in the streets. Oh, wait a minute.
We don't want another Seattle. I'm sorry. They already have legalized drugs there. These people are dying in the streets.
Yeah, but that's how you get rid of crime. You just make it legal. Look, now it's not crime.
Listen. I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm up against two.
I'm okay with marijuana being legalized.
Are
but
you?
I don't.
There's still people in jail currently for marijuana all over the U.S.
Thank you, Kamala Harris in California. But when it comes
They're
down
all
to
over
it,
the U.S. It's not just in California.
a lot in California.
A lot all over the U.S.
I do not believe anyone
Here in
should-
Florida.
I do not believe anyone should be in jail for marijuana, but
No.
crack cocaine, fentanyl. I mean, I don't want this in the streets.
But the people who have brought it in are a lot of the kind of larger criminal organizations that have been tied into the intelligence agencies. And if you look at the CIA, especially with how they brought in crack into the
80s.
black community in the 1980s with
yeah.
Freeway Ricky Ross, I interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross before. The interview is still on the main YouTube channel that you guys could watch now. Fascinating interview. His story, the events that happened to Gary Webb. That's someone that people need to really remember. It's a complicated situation because you see a lot of Democrats kind of say legalize everything, and then we see a big mess kind of be created in places like Seattle and California because of that. But it is an interesting kind of conversation to have here because other countries have kind of done it in a kind of different way. But we're
Like
dealing
Portugal?
with a different culture. We're dealing with different people, and sadly, drug legalization has been used as a weapon to try to numb the population and drug the population. And I think that's why we have seen things like the opioid epidemic rip through
havoc.
on the American people, all done through government. So if you look at a lot of these drugs, I think I would even argue if you would legalize them, you would take a lot of money away from these intel agencies that do the drug trafficking, that do import everything. And I think once we have something that we could actually test, there would be a lot less harm done, and there would be a significant harm reduction. But at the same time, I wouldn't want liberals kind of weaponizing it to make everyone all drug drugged up as a lot of places in many democratic areas are. So it's a
Right.
complicated issue.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have kids?
No.
Do you have
I do.
kids?
Yeah, plenty.
And
Four.
you're okay with legalized fentanyl and all that stuff on the streets with your
How
kids?
much fentanyl would you do today if it became legal today?
Zero.
Exactly.
Majority of people.
But
Majority
there
of people
are
would.
people who don't do it who would do it.
But if
Who?
you're able to test
Yeah.
them, right? If you're
A
able
lot
to
of
test,
weak-minded
That's
people.
fine.
if you're
And
able to
they're
test a
gonna
lot
do
of
it
these products,
regardless.
though,
No, they're not.
if you're able to,
Yes, they are.
if you're able to test a lot of these products and have stores that provide it to people, again, I think you shouldn't do any drugs. I'm big against not doing any drugs. I had a lot of friends that were very negatively affected by it. I don't want anyone doing it, but a lot of the deaths are caused because of the black market, because of the kind of secrecy behind it. And if there were larger kind of stores and reputations behind a lot of these services, there would be a lot less deaths and there would be a lot less kind of black secret budgets for these intel agencies. So on that particular stance, I do understand that argument that Martha is
go to
making.
Oakland and see
Yeah.
what goes around
But
there.
see, you're
Go
conflating
to other
issues
places.
because
Go
the
to
way
California.
that they were. So, for example, in those very liberal locations, they not only have a needle exchange, they also gave people a place to do drugs.
Disgusting.
They also provide, in some cases, drugs. So the way that it was legalized was not just like, hey, we're not going to come after you anymore. No, they went further. They're like, and by the way, you can hang out here at this building that we just created for you to come do drugs. You can do all of these things. The thing is that people who are going to do drugs are going to do drugs whether it's legal or not.
Not if they
already-
can't get
I
it.
disagree.
Do you know how easy it is to get drugs in this country? And
I
number one, and
don't,
number
'cause
two,
I don't do 'em.
Number two, the number one. You know what? Most kids in high school can get access to all drugs because
I'll ask my kid. I'll ask my
You
kid tomorrow
should.
if he can get fentanyl, and he'll tell me no.
Are you kidding?
I mean-
Today's kids could get a hold of a Laws rocket.
Like, yeah,
maybe
get a Sam or
my
a
kid
Murph
goes to a
in
good
high
school
school.
district. That's not true.
My kids go to a private, super
Martha-
and
expensive
you're,
school,
and you're telling me they can get fentanyl if they need to.
I don't know about fentanyl, but they can definitely get most drugs. Are you kidding me? The thing is, I have good communication with my kids, so they've told me about the drugs available at parties, and it includes top shelf cocaine, I'm sure. But you know what? At the end of the
Miami's
day,
had that for a long time.
long
What
time.
else is,
Miami,
is
this
more
is Miami.
special?
are you
Yeah.
kidding me? 2CB or whatever that stuff was going around, all of that was available. And the only thing that stops,
2CB.
at least in my case, my children from doing these things is an open dialogue with me about the consequences, about what would happen. And, that's
So your point is let everyone have a choice and let it be free for everyone. Is that?
I'm
what
not
you're
saying
at?
that. You could have it at the pharmacy behind the counter and people can go in there and get it. The biggest problem we have in this country with drugs is the government coming after you. It's like, you may ruin your life, so we're going to go ahead and ruin your life for you so that you don't ruin your own life. It's what they've been doing with cannabis
She's
for
got
this,
a point.
this whole time.
Going after the people who sell it, not the users. A little different.
It doesn't matter because the people who sell it, there's an incentive and it creates a black market. And what Luke just said, the federal government has been behind importing drugs since forever. We know this. We have evidence of it. The CIA used the Iran-Contra
Correct.
issue in order to gain money outside of their legal capacity to use it to do regime changes around the world. This is something we know for a fact. The government made something illegal so that they could get extra money that we weren't aware of so that they can do whatever little project they wanted elsewhere. The problem we have with Americans is thinking that their morality should be applied to everyone across the board and that we should put people in cages for their addictions. We don't do that with alcohol. You don't put somebody in a jail cell.
They did.
And it was wrong, and we realized that it was wrong, and we went against that prohibition. We have had prohibition of drugs for over 100 years, and guess what? The drugs are winning.
I agree with Martha, but I also agree with you, Gary, if we're able to go after the biggest drug dealers, and that is the Intel-linked kind of organizations, if we're able to stop them, let's stop those drug dealers. Let's stop those drug dealers. And with the way that the NSA works, Steph, stop clicking that button. With the way that the NSA works specifically and all the intelligence gathering and all the spying that is being done specifically, they know exactly where it's coming in. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was some kind of larger intergovernment agency that allows all the fentanyl in. So deal with that problem.
We hook people on opioids,
there's reasons.
legal
Yeah.
opioids. You can get opioids from any one of the FDA-approved companies. That's where people got hooked, and then they get it ripped out from under them, and it's like, oh, hey, Gary, you started off with this back pain, so here's an opioid.
Yeah.
Guess what? Now you're not getting it anymore, and you're going to go to the streets to get heroin. This is the cycle of we need to help people.
So it's a bad cycle. It's a bad cycle.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we have to legalize drugs for everyone because we are in a bad cycle. Listen,
we
you're
do
basically
have to legalize because going to jail is not the answer. If you
no,
take
it's not.
all of the money,
You're right. It's not. Execution is the answer. You start
Holy
executing.
And then you get a prosecutor like Kamala Harris.
You start executing these drug kingpins in Mexico. I bet you that drug thing goes down very, very quickly.
it won't. It's somebody else will take it over. Then it'll be the Chinese.
Then you kill them too. It's very simple. Listen, the American has never went after the drug cartels. Let them try to go after the drug cartels, and we'll see how much lower the drug consumption rate in the United States of America is. No doubt about it.
When you look at what happened in Mexico, though, specifically with the larger kind of the larger kind of cartels and the larger kind of organizations, every time you take out a cartel head, there's massive violence.
Correct.
There's massive chaos. There's massive kind of disorder, and sadly, if someone wants to be a drug addict and win a Darwin Award, it's their body. I don't want them to doing it. I think there should be absolutely programs that de-incentivize it, that tell people the truth about it. But I think weaponizing the state. I think we have other issues at hand here, and if we're going to go after the drug dealers, go after the big guys. And I think that
we have never had the U.S.
Picard
We have never had the U.S. military go after the drug Mexican cartels. We have never had that.
I think we're going to see it.
Let's start seeing that, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear of let's legalize everything. No, let's crack down real hard in the Mexican cartels, and then see what happens.
Yes, and that is, I think, one of the talking points from Donald Trump right now, who is threatening to use U.S. military forces on the cartels, who is saying we are going to specifically be tariffing you. We're going to make sure that we are going to use our kind of economic might to make sure all this horrible stuff doesn't get into the United States. And it looks like that is slowly making an impact here, as Mexico just announced a change to some of its immigration policies. And it looks like a migrant caravan is currently being stopped by the Mexican government following the U.S. tariff threat from Donald Trump. So overall, these are policies that are absolutely incentivizing and I think protecting America from a lot of these kind of illegal actions. A lot of the illegal actions that I would just like to note were kind of committed by the intelligentsia and the intelligence agencies of this particular country.
Let's talk about fentanyl, specifically that drug. I want to talk about that one specifically because that's the worst of all of them. I mean, that's worse than heroin. It's worse than everything. Let's talk about who's actually shipping that stuff here. It's the Chinese.
China, yep.
The Chinese are shipping it, but why are they shipping it?
They're filling an order.
No. Okay, you can say that, but why are they
really
doing
are.
it? You have to go back in history.
Opium.
There was something called opium wars when the Europeans, who were basically, playing bully ball at the time in the 1800s, 1700s, went over there and got the Chinese population hooked on heroin. They were basically indigenous, like they were basically slaves to the foreigners for about 100 years. And that's why the Chinese are sending the fentanyl over here right now. It's called payback. The fentanyl ain't targeting the Mexicans. It's not targeting the blacks. It's targeting the white kids.
It's
Let's keep it real.
It's unconventional warfare being waged
That's
by
exactly
the
what
Chinese.
it is. It's
Indirect
war.
warfare. Yep.
So we shut down the cartels, and quite frankly, that's enough. That's enough to start war with me. You do that stuff if I was president, I'm putting a trade embargo all over China. You're basically trying to kill our kids. They're targeting your kids, my kids, everyone's kids here, especially if they're white.
Yeah. But I think it's fair to say the war on drugs.
The war on
failed.
drugs is a failure, and people like William Leonard Picard, who was given a life sentence but served 20 when he was released, was sent to jail for LSD. When we now know, and we knew back in the 50s and 60s, that LSD was great at helping people with mental health issues and concerns. We have been putting good people into jails for 50 plus years at least. Yeah. Over something that has been helping. We know that mushrooms,
it also
LSD,
made a lot of people lose their minds. That's also something that people need to know here and be aware of.
The U.S. government dosed a whole bunch of people with Operation Mockingbird and all sorts of other things. So, I mean, pick your battles, U.S. government. If you're allowed to give it to people.
This was MK Ultra is when they
maybe we need to fix the government.
We do need to fix the government. I don't want the government choosing who is going to go to jail over drugs when they are the ones drugging people.
I
have a huge problem with this.
I understand that.
So, this whole idea of we're going to send more money to our government to then go after cartels, we're just going to keep funding the monster.
No, not to go after him, to kill him. to specifically kill them and hunt them down
Anyways,
and
all
kill
right,
them.
we're not going to agree. Let's accept that we're going to agree to disagree.
We're not going to agree, but I'm telling you, you go out there and you do something that's never been done. You start putting these drug cartels in the ground. When another one pops up, you put them in the ground too. I bet you this thing changes. And fentanyl, that's all the Chinese.
Yeah.
That's an act of war.
There's more than one way to skin the cat.
And
So
I
let's
think
we haven't
just,
tried that one yet.
And I think Trump is also going to the Chinese, being like, "Cut it out, stop the fentanyl,
Okay.
or we're going to raise the tariffs." So I think that also is happening behind the scenes. We just asked our chat room, because this is a very fascinating kind of conversation. It's awesome, and I think it's important for people to have. But we're asking people in the chat right now: should the war on drugs be ended? People are saying yes or no, and then we'll get back to you with those results in a little bit. We got some super chats here, Steph. Let's read them off really quickly.
All right, we got potatoes for Seamus saying, "Potato Man, good. Luke, all hail Seamus."
How dare you say this?
Very
I am
offended.
perturbed by your love of the potato man. That doesn't deserve any love. Keep going.
Barb Arian says, "For your legal defense fund, thank you."
Thank you so much. SaveLukeNow.com. Really appreciate all of your support. Really means a lot to us.
Gonfall. Is there any way Trump just get into office now before these war-hungry buffoons start wars? I will be livid if I have to be drafted.
Yes, that's a future that we face here, especially with the escalations happening right now in Ukraine that are not fun. There's also a lot of other updates surrounding that particular story. We did a full YouTube video on it just a couple hours ago. You should check that out to get a full perspective about what is happening right now geopolitically, because it is very serious. Keep going.
We have another one from Barb Arian saying 90% of hospital patients receive IV therapy, but did you know that 70% of IV bags contain DEHP, a toxic chemical linked to breast, liver, lung, and
Testicular.
testicular?
This causes cancer. This causes cancer. I mean, come on, man. Everything causes cancer. What do you want to live in the cave?
yes,
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
not
okay.
doing it.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
When World War III starts.
I need 3 hots and a cot.
Keep going. There's 2 more.
Gonfall says, "Is there any way Trump did we read this?
No, up
Yeah,
above.
we did. Oh, he says sniffing butts in public will be legalized next so that furries won't feel discriminated and attacked for this behavior."
Maybe in liberal cities, who knows, with the way that things are going. We got an interesting update from the mayor of Denver that we're going to be going to in a little bit, and I think we got one
They
more.
just continue
Sure,
to
yeah.
shoot themselves in the foot.
We have John Griggs saying Northeast Botanicals kratom cures the epidemic. Kratom.
Yeah, be careful with whatever you take into your own body, especially when it comes to any kind of psychedelics, especially when it comes to any kind of alternatives. There's always negatives to a lot of the positive that people talk about, and you should always do a lot of your own research, a lot of your own homework. But again, just because someone says something doesn't mean it's true. And I know a lot of people that had a lot of very positive effects on mushrooms, and I know other people that have lost their minds on it as well. So again, be super careful with what you put into your own body.
Ayahuasca too.
Yeah, a lot of people
this
lose their
one-
minds on ayahuasca.
This one's
as well.
kratom. So kratom is not a psychedelic. It's a root.
But
and
there's
it's-
also negative stuff about kratom as well, Steph.
mean, yeah, look it up, but it's not a psychedelic. You
People
said
have been hurt
mushrooms.
by kratom as well. So
kratom is a little bit of an addictive
people have been hurt from
substance.
breathing air too.
Actually,
don't know
people
about
have
that
died from
stuff.
drinking too much
No.
water.
well,
There's
Mexican water?
No, just
Try to drink a gallon of milk in
there
a
was
sitting.
early 2000s. There was like a competition on a radio station where it was like the person who drank the most amount of water won like a PlayStation or
You
something.
can die from that.
And this woman won the competition and died from drinking
There
that
you go.
amount of water. Yeah, like it was a well-known story back in the day.
How many gallons did she drink?
I'd have to look it up. I don't recall, but it was a lot. But you can actually die from drinking
yeah.
too
A
much
lot
water.
of people take Molly and then they start just drinking water nonstop, and then there was cases of people who actually were severely hurt and
Lesson?
injured and died.
Don't
because of
take
that.
Molly.
Shit
That's the
bag way
lesson.
to go out.
Yes.
Man. God damn.
Yes. So again, be smart, and just for me, stay away from any of that kind of stuff. And
Unless you have a
Or
shaman.
experiment on someone else.
even then, don't trust the shaman. There's a lot of shaman scam artists out there that are just trying to make a buck off of
Yeah, hi,
desperate
Twitter.
people. So, so there's a lot of really bad people out there that, especially in Peru. In Peru, there's a whole industry of individuals that just proclaim themselves to be shamans when in reality they don't know anything and they just pretend to be. And naive people go there and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be great." And there's a lot of horrible stories of particularly women being taken advantage of when they're on these kind of larger trips as well. So,
Well,
be
I
super
will be
careful.
taking one of these trips soon, so wish me luck.
We'll talk about it on the next segment.
What are the betting odds?
What are the betting odds? I'm going to say it's a very good chance that I come out of it.
If you want to share your story, let's share it on the next platform.
I
that
want
we're
to
gonna be
film
going
it.
to
Can I
in a little bit.
come with you just to film it? I want to film it.
No,
It's
this is
not-
a personal journey. No,
It's not a pleasant thing to kind of
No,
see.
yeah, I don't
But
need people saying me.
I saw people literally get hooked
You'll
on.
definitely go viral.
Yeah.
In that case, Liza, all right, you're welcome. No, I'm kidding.
I've seen people's personalities just totally shift and change in like the most negative ways from like DMT as well and ayahuasca as well. I knew someone that became addicted to DMT and they started just hitting DMT because they wanted to disassociate with life. And you got to be careful, especially when you kind of put yourself in this larger kind of interdimensional world that we have kind of very little understanding of. As a lot of people say,
But
that
don't
you
you
could
want to
be
see
there.
it, Luke? Don't you want to
But-
see
but a
those
lot of people-
interdimensional people? And
You got to
things?
no. We'll talk
They're
about
not
it.
all nice.
We'll talk.
No,
about
they're
it.
not.
No,
Neither
there's-
are the people,
there's-
in the regular world that you
Just look
encounter.
at Hillary
during-
Clinton.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what
They
happened.
coming in.
There's demons. There's demons out there,
That's
which
what
you
I
got to be
said, Hillary
careful
Clinton.
of. So be careful of the demons is all I'm going to say. As well as we're going to continue that
You ever
story
feel
on the next
sorry
platform.
for Bill Clinton because he's married to her?
Oh my
No,
God!
because
Could you
he's a
imagine?
pedophile that
Honest to
likes.
God, could you
no.
imagine waking up in the morning and seeing her wearing very little, bending over in front of the bed? I mean, you just lose your cookies
No,
right
I can't
there.
imagine
And
that.
he didn't see that very often either. I don't think she really liked what he was offering.
she was
Uma
more. She was
Abedin.
more into women. Yeah, that was the one.
She exactly. I don't think they were doing a whole lot of that you discussed about. You know, I don't think so.
Did you ever hear the story of Kid Rock when Trump took him into the room where he Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky?
The Oval Office.
Yeah, where they left a bad taste in her mouth. Now she's a Republican, I heard. Is that true? No, did you ever hear that
No.
story
No.
with Kid Rock? Kid Rock says when he was in the White House, that Trump took him into that room and he goes, "You know what room we're in?" And he was like, "No kidding." And he goes out in the hallway and grabs everybody else. He goes, "Come on, you got to see this." That's a true story.
He's got to be the coolest president.
Monica
man.
Lewinsky is a Democrat. She actually posted right before the elections about how she was supporting Kamala, and I remember this because I commented that clearly her taste has not improved.
Yes. Continuing in the conversation.
So she was voting for the Clinton's puppet.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
I know.
God.
I used to feel sorry for her, and I still do, because she was a very young woman who was, thrown out into the public, and she was made to seem like she was the home wrecker or whatever, and not that the most important man in the world at that time was
She was
abusing
in the
her.
same position like as Nancy Pelosi, but Pelosi landed on her feet and
Yep.
kept going.
One of my friends is actually very close.
Wow.
One of my friends is kind of close to Monica, and I was at a party
How
where
close?
I got to know her. It's another woman, and she's I'll just say she's an interesting person that's been through
Yeah, she's been through a
a
lot.
lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
She was smart enough to keep that dress, though. And that's the one thing that saved her life.
Shocker.
And then she was dumb enough to confide in Linda Tripp and have it all secretly recorded. And also, how did
Or
everything
maybe-
get recorded?
Maybe it was an extortion operation on Bill Clinton, who then shortly after started bombing places. And then was able to kind of save his presidency. But
Yep.
anyway, we'll get into that stuff probably a little bit later. It's more of an adult topic. But let's continue on the conversation, especially when it comes to immigration, as there
Deport
are
'em.
Deport 'em.
Deport 'em.
There's a lot of mayors out there coming out saying specifically, you know what, we will not be going along with Trump's plans. We will not be deporting
Awesome.
anyone.
Who cares?
And that, of course, is the Denver mayor, who said he's willing to go to jail if he
Good.
is willing to, of course, stand up against Donald Trump. We have the border czar on Fox News that had this to say in response to it.
Look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute, it's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III, and what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And look,
So the mayor of Denver might be arrested under Trump's administration for not going along with the federal mandate. This is definitely going to create a very important states' rights issue, and I think we're going to have a lot of very interesting, crazy legal battles, specifically
If he
amongst
gets a
immigration.
felony, then he can't be mayor anymore, correct?
I don't know how it works. I think it works on a state-by-state kind of basis, depending on their kind of local laws.
Marion Barry could smoke crack in D.C. We know that,
Yes.
but I'm not sure what
But
the laws
that's
in Denver
different.
are.
Yeah, we also have the guy that almost beat Ron DeSantis, also doing some really funny stuff here that he got caught doing as well.
I remember that
yeah,
guy. What was
yeah.
his name? Julian?
Andrew Gillum.
Yeah, wasn't he caught with a man in the...
And yes, a male prostitute in a hotel room where he
Yeah,
had.
but you can't tell anymore. You got to turn them over like puppies. What do we got here? Beans and franks or a taco? I don't know.
He could have been
yeah.
confused.
Could you imagine
I don't think
if
he
we
was
had
confused.
that guy as the
Governor.
governor? Oh my God!
And we came this close because
Bathhouses would be all over the content.
that was DeSantis' first term, and he just
made it.
barely won.
Thanks to Trump. Thanks to Trump.
Thanks to Trump.
Yep.
And then, they got into the little tiff. And
Then
now,
he turned on Trump.
Did he? I mean,
Yeah, he did.
You know
what
what?
is this
He
thing
shoulda-
about?
he
Like,
shoulda never
so
ran.
if you
Shoulda
hold
never
somebody
ran.
accountable, then somehow that's turning on them?
No,
Like,
wait a second. If this man helped you get in office and you're only governor because he put you there or helped endorse you, and then you're going to run against him for president, no, I think that's kind of treason.
okay.
Well, the
Fair
good
enough.
news about the whole,
I mean, after the COVID stuff, I think that was kind of a big deal. I think that he had a good reason to do so. I think that pushing back on the COVID issues was
He
was a good-
definitely pushed back, but it wasn't like Trump was forcing people to take that jab. Biden was forcing people to take the jab.
The good news about having all these illegals coming through and people that are allowing it is look what it did to their voting base. Their voting base said you're giving these people money, you're giving them the hotel rooms, you're giving them all the benefits, they're giving them an EBT card. So what did we get? So all it did was destroy their own base. So
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Do
this
it,
was
do
the
it.
major
Bring it-
voting
bring it
issue
more.
of this election.
They're not very
and,
smart.
and I think Trump realizes that unless there are deportations, the landscape of this country is going to change dramatically to the point where it's going to be very difficult to any future Republican to ever get elected ever again, since the Democrats were kind of rigging the game in their favor in order to have more representation, specifically in major liberal areas. And I think this is why Trump is kind of very serious on this particular threat and why he will be kind of delivering on it and why he chose the person that we just saw on Fox News talking about specifically going as far as to arrest the mayor of Denver.
I like that guy. Of all his picks, that's my favorite. That guy right there, Baldy, Mr. Clean over there, he's going to deport so many people. But here's my question, everyone here. We know deportations are coming, but we also know that the Democrats still control the news. They still control the mainstream media. They're going to be showing images of kids being ripped away from their parents and vice versa. That's going to be all over the news. They're going to try to make people feel real bad about what has to happen.
Or we could just cut all welfare to anybody. Well, I would say cut welfare to everyone, but you could just cut all welfare.
But the
and-
Democrat
disagreeing, but I'm
states won't
saying
do
is- What I'm saying is these images are going to be all over the news.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so instead of deporting them by rounding them up and sending, you just cut all welfare. The people that actually want to stay here for the right reasons probably will. And those
Still
who came
illegals.
here, doesn't
Get
matter.
out.
They'll get themselves out. Why do you have to pay for it? Why do you have to spend more of our taxpayer dollars, to deport people, which you just cut all their funding?
The way I look at it is if you had all this money to bring these people in, to bus them, you can find the same type of money to deport their ass.
We
And
didn't.
let's not
We
forget all these-
inflated the
let's not-
currency.
let's
We
not
just
forget about all
printed. We
these
let
I-
money printer go.
We're going to have about 100,000 ICE agents on the streets. I don't think that's a bad thing.
I do. I think it would be great. We can just cut all of it, and people will
I
figure
don't
their
think
way
that's,
out
I
of
don't
the
think
country.
that's realistic.
But a lot of the liberal cities and a lot of the liberal states won't be cutting their welfare. So that's an important aspect here. They're going to try to keep as many of them as they can so that they have better representation in Congress and better representation with the federal government so they can change the political landscape of this country. So that's the kind of obstacle that Trump is facing. And that's why a lot of people are saying that deportation is the only way to kind of change this democratic rigging.
Until they
that,
see how expensive deportation is.
It's going to be super expensive. It's going to
Not as
cost a lot of
expensive
money.
as keeping him here.
Again, cut welfare. The problem you're describing is welfare.
They're not going to leave this country just because you cut their money supply off. They still can
right?
make. They still can make more money here than they can in any other country of the world with the
And
welfare
they
or with not.
and
Go to-
you know what? If they're
illegals,
willing,
get out.
if they're willing to
You're
work, great.
illegal. Get out.
I see things very differently. I just don't agree.
I think the Republicans and the Democrats love the cheap labor they bring. So that's a
They do.
bipartisan issue.
They do, absolutely
You have to
love
get
it.
rid of it. You got to get rid of it.
And they control that by not allowing them to work, by saying you need a permit that I'm not going to give you
There's
to
plenty
work.
of people who are work. I know people who are building houses here who are using illegals.
Just go
I
to
know.
Home Depot.
Yeah,
that's what I
clearly.
said. Go to Home Depot and see what you
Right.
can find.
And if they're willing to
even
do
if
it,
there's no welfare, this is still a better option to them than any other country
Absolutely.
in the world. So you need to take them, round them up, get them the hell out of here, come through the legal process. As a matter of fact,
why don't we fix the legal process before we go ahead and do that?
No, we get rid of them and then we start fixing the legal
Yeah,
process.
I think that makes a little more sense. You know, it's
Get rid of all of them.
Get
What
rid of
you're- what
welfare.
you're
Get
saying
rid
is
of the
change
problems.
My daddy came here in the 70s and went through all the goddamn regulations.
Yeah.
So did almost everyone else I know. They
In the
went through this
70s, the
country
regulations that we have
legally.
today is not were not
Legally.
there. My father did too. My dad came
we're
in the
the
late
same
60s.
boat. I have no issues with immigrants. We're all from somewhere.
Yep.
Every single one
We
of us.
are.
The point is, if you're going through the Mexican border, you're not going through legally, and you're taking jobs away from Americans. That's not going to cut it anymore. Get the hell out.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm an immigrant. I went through the right process. I
There you
became
go.
an American citizen, and the process is kind of broken because of the illegal immigrants that have come through. That's another
Democrats-
important aspect that people need to understand.
The process is broken because of the government.
That's
Democrats
true.
and
The
the
government has decided X number of people are going to come in. They don't change it. They allow preferences for some, especially those with money. They're
What's
doing
wrong
this
with
on,
that?
No, nothing. I think that, you know what, if you have somebody pulling you in, you should be able to come. If you have family members that you want to bring in, they should automatically be allowed to come in.
Quite frankly, I want
you're gonna support
I
them-
want the richest, the brightest people from
I
all
do
countries
too.
in the world to
That
come
would
here.
make America
100%. I
even
want
more
that.
amazing. I do too.
I want that.
We
but
should
come
have
in legally, not through the goddamn border.
Sure, but we have
Mexican,
to discuss
I mean.
that the process is broken, and that's kind of the problem. People coming from certain countries, the line is 100 years.
If
There's nobody going to wait 100 years to come, and we don't want somebody that's 135. You know what I mean?
If you have a boat that's sinking because it's taking up too much water, you don't worry about fixing the boat first. You worry about getting the water out the boat, then you fix it. So you get the immigrants out, and then you start redoing the whole process.
If you know how much it's going to cost to get those immigrants out, you might have a different opinion on it.
It's going to be
Not at all.
a very interesting
Money well spent.
situation. It's going to be interesting to see how Donald Trump handles this situation. It's going to be a very delicate situation, and I think the media is going to be lying about it from start to finish. I think the focus should be on a lot of the traffickers. I think the focus should be on reuniting a lot of the lost children here. There were a lot of children that were trafficked into the United States. There's a lot of abuse that happens with them, and I think if Trump comes at it from that perspective, that will be more of a kind of strategic PR, larger move that I think will actually help those children, and will be the larger kind of steps to kind of make here. But I agree with both of you guys.
Immigration
Well,
and drugs.
yeah.
Two reasons to go after the cartels right away and hit them hard like they've never been hit before. Those two are enough.
Why don't we ask the viewers, what would you do to get rid of them? What could be an incentive that's a natural type of incentive for them to want to leave?
$500, get out of here. That's what they were giving the people in North Carolina, right? $500 cash, get out.
People in the chat think that you and I aren't friends, and I think
I'm
it's
good with her.
hilarious because after the show, we're gonna become very best friends.
Yeah, we're
as we
gonna
usually
smoke one right after the show. I'm good with her. Listen.
We can debate and still be
I'm
friends.
okay. I'm okay because she isn't a whore. And she's she's not a
Whoa.
liberal.
You don't
All
know that,
okay?
She's got an OnlyFans. She did for her campaign. For her campaign, she did.
I have only issues with far left liberal women. I have a big issue with them.
I think everybody
And
does.
quite frankly,
We're gonna pass the peace pipe, and we're gonna be just as buddies as we were when you walked into the show. And
quite
people in
frankly,
the chat need to calm down.
Everyone here knows I want to repeal 19, right?
We'll talk about
It
that.
got real
Let them
quiet.
Let
I
them
want to
fight.
repeal the 19th Amendment. 100%.
This is going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to carry it away into the next free speech platform where we could get into a lot of this other stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'll be more active in that one.
It definitely does
We
seem...
can say the 7 dirty words.
It definitely does seem like the changes are already kind of being implemented in our society even before Trump takes office. As of course, there was another major decision with Walmart. That is one of America's largest private employers that has just announced announced that they are
Slave
axing
wage.
their DEI policies. This is
So
a
is
major big
Toyota.
deal.
Good for
And
them.
so are a lot of other companies in the United States, but Walmart is really the big one. Here's the segment from CNN not being too happy about it.
Conservatives fighting back against corporate DEI may have scored their biggest victory yet. Walmart, the nation's largest private employer, just announced it is rolling back its diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives amid outcries over so-called corporate wokeism and claims that DEI is more divisive than inclusive. Walmart says it's ending racial equity training programs for staff, evaluating programs designed to increase supplier diversity, reviewing funding of pride events, and removing sexual or transgender products marketed to children. Now, Walmart defends the move, saying, quote, "We have been on a journey and know we aren't perfect, but every decision comes from a place of wanting to foster a sense of belonging." Other companies making similar moves. They include Harley-Davidson, Tractor Supply, and John Deere.
Good. And there's
Donald
going to
Trump
be
effect.
a lot of other ones. And
Donald
yeah,
Trump
that's
effect.
the Donald Trump
and,
effect.
and by the way, what is BlackRock? What is Vanguard doing? They're obviously going along with this stuff because they're the ones who are supplying all the money to all the liberal wokeism. So obviously they're going along with this. It shows you the pendulum is swinging hard the other way.
Absolutely. And I think the culture is really the most important aspect of all of this. And I think they're seeing, hey, us putting forward these racist policies, these divisive policies, these kind of larger, weird adult policies
Strike
with
two.
children is something that isn't going to go over well for the American public that overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. And I think this election, especially with Donald Trump winning the popular vote, did highlight that the American people have had enough with this nonsense, enough of all this bull crap, and this recall. It's something that's pretty incredible to see.
Yeah,
this
it's
is the
not
shift.
216.
Yeah.
When they said, "Oh, well, at least Hillary Clinton won the popular vote." No. Trump has a mandate.
Yeah.
An absolute mandate. And if you're going to get in his way, you're going to get run over. At least for the first 2 years. We don't know what's going to happen, after that with Congress and stuff like that. For the first 2 years, this is probably the most powerful president we've had in about 50 years. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep.
And
I love
changes-
that Walmart is rolling back that DEI stuff. I worked for Walmart as a teenager. I thought it was actually a great place to work way back when. I am old. I am happy that
F Walmart. How about that? And I say F Walmart. Why? Because they took all the mom and pop shops and put them out
Yeah,
of
they
business.
did.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
So they took a lot of American jobs. If you want to talk about Chinese and their products, Walmart.
Remember when Walmart used to only they were proud to sell American products? They actually had a
When was
section
this?
in Walmart. Oh wait, when I worked there in the 90s.
And then the old man died and the kids got
Yeah,
it.
yep. In the 90s, they were proud
Right.
to have American products, and now they don't. It just goes to show how things have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're returning back to that. And I think with the tariff plan, with the larger economic plans, with the larger kind of protectionist policies, we're seeing something that we haven't seen in a very long time. And Trump has proven himself to be a major disruptor. And I think he's going to be disrupting a lot of things, not just within government, but more importantly, the culture. And I think the culture is very important. And if you're one of these major corporations, you're kind of reading the tea leaves. You're seeing the writing on the wall, and you're saying, whoa, hold on. This kind of larger woke nonsense isn't popular anymore. You're telling me I can't.
Well, they were listening to the mainstream.
Yeah, you're telling me I can't put lipstick on a pig anymore and then parade it around as this latest kind of woke princess. You're telling me the American people aren't buying it anymore? Nope, we're not. And I would just remind the American people that them voting with your dollars is more important than ever, and something that we shouldn't forget, especially when it comes to a lot of these corporations that have sold us out, screwed us over, and we're literally trying to sell us
Name
a
names.
dirty bill of goods.
Name names, brother.
Budweiser.
There you go.
Walmart
There you go.
is one of them. Harley Davidson was one of them as well. If you remember their kind of woke initiative as well.
United Airlines?
United Airlines as well. Yep. And a lot of the people and a lot of the corporations that also discriminated against people's own personal medical choices. All of those individuals shouldn't be incentivized with your dollar. There should be a larger kind of boycott movement like we saw with Bud Light, with all of these corporations. And I think everyone should be saying, you know what? It's a little too late now. We don't care. You can apologize. chance you could go back, you could revert on some of your DEI language, but we're not going to forget what you did during a time when the American people were being sold out and screwed over. That's the policy that I think is going to be the most important one. We're going to move over to the next platform. Before we do, we still got more super chats. Steph, read them off really quick.
All right, we got a super chat from Not a Joke saying legalizing all drugs for use in supervised facilities with therapy could reduce risks, support recovery, and enable more research into their effects and benefits. I agree with that. I feel like it's not for everyone, but it can be helpful for some people, especially if you're like coming off the streets, if you're coming off of addictions. It's really important, and it's a good like kind of segue into getting clean.
The psychologists need psychologists themselves, so I'm not sure about that one.
The therapists need therapists themselves.
There you go.
So are they going to hand out insulin as well, or just cocaine? You know?
Good point.
I don't know. I'm all about it when it's supervised. I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
I agree.
We also have another mysuperchat.com from El Mexicano saying, what's going on, fellas? China sending fentanyl through Mexico is nasty work. They are not just destroying the U.S., but Mexico is suffering because of cartels. Also, Gary, good to see you, bro. Look into Jonathan Cahn's book, lots of numerology/religion in them.
I have about as much respect for other numerologists as Bill Clinton had respect for his wife.
Ooh.
Well, there you have it.
Fighting words.
We got another one from Bad Joke 69. Thank you guys for using mysuperchat.com. Bad Joke says, you go to the meetups to meet Luke. You stay to talk to Steph and talk shit about the hosts that don't go. Oh, yeah, we know about that one. We know about Luke. You want to say anything about that?
No, he's out there getting seed oils and douche flutes for himself right now, and he might be back. He might
Every
not.
time.
Who knows?
Every time.
Keep going.
All right. We got Corn Pop saying, think if a sponge bob was a black. Okay, Corn Pop. Sorry, I don't really
What's
get
the
it.
point of that?
I don't understand.
I don't
He's
know.
trying to be racist and funny at the same time, I think.
Yeah,
Kind of
I
failed.
think yeah.
We got Ryan saying
Next
she
time.
didn't win, and the first place prize was a Wii. Not
Okay,
sure
keep
what that was
going.
about.
Oh, it was the lady drinking the water, and maybe it was a we. It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
Gonfall saying we have to also think. Like, they say the real Joe Biden is kept in a cell under the Denver airport. That's
Wouldn't
what
surprise me.
There's lots of conspiracy theories with the Denver airport.
his earlobes, Biden's aren't the same. Some people say that's his brother.
You ever seen him scratch the
all
back of
sorts
his
of
neck
stuff.
and all his skin
Listen, at
moves?
the end of the day, it doesn't matter who that guy Biden was. He was a puppet for Obama for most of the
And he's still a puppet.
He's
still
still a
is.
puppet. I was going to
He's
say
He
still
that.
was so
puppet.
happy
We're-
that Camilla lost, though. Oh my God, I never saw that guy smile so much after she lost.
Gonfall again saying we have to think. We have to also think PR. We can't give the media any weapon. Cut welfare, as she said. Only mass deport.
For Democrats.
Do we got any?
Good thinking. I'm a goat 11, and you've helped me visualize my path. Homage to Wise Snake.
There we go, brother. Love to hear it.
We got Ryan saying Walmart didn't say they were getting rid of DEI. They said they'd remove the word from their language. Robbie is full of crud.
I don't know who Robbie is, but show.com. Go to that website right now. We are on the front page of that particular website right now. So go check us out because the conversation definitely is going to get a lot more interesting. Yep. Shouts out to Chris Pavlovsky. Everything he's doing, he's making some major big moves with Dr. Disrespect. Before moving over there, Gary, where can people find out more information about you?
Oh, man. I've been suspended so many times on Twitter. I don't even remember my accounts anymore, man. Let's see, GG33OG on Twitter, and I won't call it X because F Elon Musk.
Really?
So it is
You
what
don't
it
like
is.
Elon?
No, he's suspended me so many times he can go to hell. Other than that, Matrix. I actually like Zuckerberg more than Musk because he's never suspended me. No,
He suspended me.
He didn't suspend me, but Zuckerberg married with one kid, like 9 different kids.
I think
one
11.
turned out.
11.
One turned out to be a
Trans.
trans.
They can't say that.
All
He's repopulating the Earth. The Earth is extremely.
I guess.
Is that the
Anyway.
footsteps you want to follow?
I will go with Zuck on home and family values over.
We'll talk about information about you.
And yeah, you can find me on X and IG at Bueno for Miami.
Yep. Liza, hurry up. Steph, hurry
X,
up.
X, Liza Trainer X.
Steph.
Steph.
All right, we already have a caller from a member of LukeUnfiltered.com. We definitely have a very active and engaged chat. A lot spicier, a lot more interesting. Atlas is super excited about it.